So I'm Susan. I am the speaker today, and Hannah is working in the background, trying to keep up with the chat, dropping information into the chat, helping. If there's any questions, she'll notify me about that question. So she is busy in the background. B2G Victory. We're here to help you win government contracts. So I was doing a little math today and realized that I have been doing certification for 27 years. Kind of scared me a little bit. That's a long time. I love certification. I love the advantage it gives small businesses. And the process, once you understand it, is not that difficult. So the B2G Victory team provides certification and recertification. We can help you get your certifications. We can show you how to get those. We can show you which ones you are eligible for. And then you can decide which ones you want to go after on your own time. Capture management, it's a business development opportunity strategy. Who do I need to be targeting? What's my plan to get in front of those government entities? Proposals. Yes, we write proposals. We help companies put their RFP and RFQ and IFB responses together to ensure that it is responsive and that it meets all of the requirements. Registrations. You can register for 5-10 companies a day for government entities. It is a lot to keep up with. We have a specialist who handles registration. She will get you all of your registrations done. She will ensure that all of that information is accurate and keep track of all of those many usernames and passwords that go with that. Process improvement. So I had a lady reach out to me just this morning. I submitted this. I've done business with this entity before. Can you tell me why I didn't win it? I said, send me the RFP, send me your response. Let me do an audit of that and find ways that we could have improved on that. Training and coaching. We're here today to kind of walk you through this process. We also do one-on-one coaching. So we're here to kind of help you navigate this world in which we live in. So drop your questions in the Q&A. I would love to know a little bit about your company. If you can drop your information, your contact information, your company information, what you do, and what you want out of this session in the chat. And Hannah, you just let me know if anybody does that. I would love to see if there was anything specific that they're looking for. All right, let's just jump on in now while you're dropping that into the chat. So what is the difference between certification and registration? So any company, regardless of size, regardless of the ownership's gender or ethnicity, can register to do business with a government entity. You're going to need your NAICS codes if it's federal, your NIGP codes if it's state, local, or education, your contact information, usually a W-9. Sometimes they'll have very specific questions, but basically what this tells the government entity, I want to do business with you. I am registered. I am prepared. Certification, however, is limited to those that meet the requirements of that particular certification. So that might be that they are, a minority-owned business or a woman-owned business, or they're a small business. So each requirement, each certification has its own set of requirements that you have to meet. So let's jump into registrations. We're going to start there. In some instances, You must be registered to get certified. In other instances, you can register after you get certified. However, my suggestion is always that you register immediately, because if you are not registering, it you might be a little late. If you wait till you get certified, some of these certifications take months. Don't miss out on opportunities just because you can't get your certification process because the entity is so far behind. So you can always subcontract out to meet the small business goal. So get registered. Start that process today. Start writing down all of the government entities you want to do business with and making that list and deciding where you need to get registered. All right. So why? Access to the opportunity. If you're registered in the system of that government entity, if anything comes up with your NAICS code or your NIGP code, you're going to be notified in your email. When we get all the way to the end of this, I'm going to give you a little trick about that one. Competitive edge. You know ahead of time. You know things that are coming down the pipeline. A simplified process. Getting registered in most cases, not all, should only take you a few minutes. It's just a lot of them. The process itself, in most cases, is not hard. Networking and growth. If you're in their system, if you're registered, these government entities may be hosting different events to notify you about so that you can meet and network with buyers and with coordinators and people from that government entity. Most important, though, is informal bids. When a government entity is going to purchase anything under a certain dollar amount, we're going to use $50,000. That's not the same for every government entity, but we're going to use that. So if it's anything that they think is going to be under $50,000, they pick up the phone and they call people that are in their database. They're not going to call people, I made the comment the other day about you're not going to call people from a phone book, but probably no one's calling people from a phone book. But they're not going to call other people. They're only going to call people who are registered. And they may only need 3 bids, 3 quotes. Now, I don't know about you, but if a $49,000 contract, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having to put together an RFP or an RFQ or an IFB. I'm okay with just simply providing them a number, maybe some references. If I'm one of the lowest ones, quotes, something that they can verify. Yeah, that's it. So those informal bids are a great way to break into the government contracting space, but you must be registered. Okay, let's start with the federal. The system of awards management. It is fondly called SAM. And when I first got into the government contracting space, I was like, who is SAM and why is SAM so difficult? Yeah, SAM can be a challenge. But if you want to do business in the federal space, if you want any federal certifications, you must first be registered in SAM. With SAM, you can also find any opportunities that are out there. You can, there's plenty of help there on SAM. You can look up an entity, like you're trying to do business, to team with another small business. You can look them up on SAM with their cage number and find out, some information on them. You get some entity reporting. You can find out who won recent bids. It's a great resource on top of being just, you can do business now. You can see an opportunity, but you cannot respond to an opportunity, and you can't win an opportunity unless you're registered. So if you think you want to do business in the federal space, now you might be thinking, well, I'm not doing business federally. Like there's not anything, maybe in the Houston area that I could really go after in the federal. Let's say you want to do business, like City of Houston is one of your targets. Well, there are opportunities at the City of Houston that are federally funded. If the money comes from the federal government, the person who wins that contract must be registered in SAM, even though the check comes from the City of Houston. So register in SAM. Again, it can be a challenging process, but I do have some tips for that. This allows you to bid on government contracts and apply for federal assistance. You get a UEI number and you get a cage number. You have to put in a lot of information. It's good for 365 days. I always recommend that you start your renewal process at least 3 months out. It states that your registration is submitted. It will take at least 10 business days. And that at least 10 business days is just sort of a number. I've seen it take 2 weeks, and I've seen it take 3 months. So once you go through all of this process, and you must watch your email, because it may have been a month since you submitted and you hadn't heard anything, and all of a sudden they'll send you an email with some questions they want you to answer, and you have 3 business days. All right, so register in SAM. So here are some tips. Your address. SAM is very, very matches your certificate of organization or formation, which also matches your tax returns, which also matches your Secretary of State website. For your physical address, you cannot use a P.O. box. You cannot use a FedEx store or UPS store. It must be a physical address for your business. It can be your home address. But if those addresses do not all match, let's say you formed your company 10 years ago, you've moved it a couple of times, or, and you just haven't updated everything, make sure you get all of that updated so that it all matches before you submit for SAM, because they'll kick it back. Determine your NAICS code prior to starting your application. You need at least one. You need a primary one, and then you can have as many secondary as fit your company. Make sure this is things that you do in-house with your company, with your own staff, with your own resources, not things that you can outsource or subcontract out. Because when you win a contract, you're going to have to perform at least 30 to 50%, depending on the entity of that contract. So use NAICS codes that fit your business. So what is a NAICS code, Susan? It is a North American industry classification. And Hannah is going to drop the link on there. So how many of you know your NAICS code? So that, Chandra does. Yes, she does. I know she does. The great thing about this, the NAICS codes while they're good for doing business with the federal government, you are also going to need them when you get certified, even at the state and local level, because those determine your size. All right, so we have a question in the Q&A. All right. Is there a fee to register in SAM? No, there is not a fee to register in SAM if you do this yourself. And then Stanley, how to find it for health and wellness. I tell you what, if we have time at the end, we'll pull that site up and we'll look at that. If not, you can email me directly and I will help you find that. It just depends on our amount of time. Is that okay with you? Because if I go through everybody's NAICS codes, we will all be here all day. All right. So now let's look at state. So we have for the registration list, we had 3 different states that had companies registered. So we're going to go through all 3 states. So we're going to start, of course, with state of Texas. And that is called the Centralized Masters Bidder List. Again, anyone of any company of any size, any gender, any ethnicity can register with the state of Texas. This basically says, I want to do business with you. This is where buyers go to find your information. Now, many people get certified with the state of Texas using memorandums of understanding or memorandums of agreement with other entities such as City of Houston. Well, the City of Houston is just providing them basic information. This is their company name and this is their contact. If you do not complete your CMBL, you're not going to be able to list your NIGP codes. So $70 for the year to be listed in the CMBL. It is extremely important if you want to do business with the state and you want buyers to find you and you want to be notified of opportunities. I was going to tell you the tip about all the emails that you get. B2G Victory has a bids@b2gvictory.com email address. When we are registering on the site, that is the email address that we use. There's a couple of reasons why. If one of us leaves for some reason and we don't longer have access to that email, that bids email is always going to be there. It doesn't matter who's looking at it and who's responding from it. It is just a generic email address. Plus, I don't know about you, I have 3,200 unread emails in my email address every day, which drives Angela a little crazy, but we'll get them cleaned up one day. I don't want every government entity to send me notifications in that email address. I'm not going to see them. I take 10 minutes out of my day every day to go through the bids email address. It will make a world of difference on managing your Outlook if you do that. So that is something we suggest to our clients. If not, you're going to go, if you ever sign up on Bonfire for anything, then you'll be bonfired, a massive bonfire emails every day. So that's my tip for the day on that. So with the state, local, and education registrations, you need a NIGP code, National Institute of Government Purchasing. So you can easily go to the state of which you are located and find your NIGP code. I've been providing the link for the ones in Texas. So you can just look up NIGP codes for the state of Illinois, and you're going to be taken probably to the Secretary of State's website. They can vary, usually not by much. So if you find yours in Texas using this link, it's more than likely going to be the same, but I always suggest that you double check that, simply because we have noticed there's some slight variation in the way that they are numbered and written. So if you do business in the state of Texas, another thing that you are going to need to do due to our size is determine what your geographic delivery zone is based on the highway districts that they have developed. So if you are a virtual company, you might can do business all over Texas. But if you provide a service and you must go out to that client's house or that client must come into your office, you're probably going to want to pick at least, you know, either just the zone in which you are located or maybe the surrounding ones. So I believe Houston is 12, or Harris County. So they are broken by county. So if you follow the link that Hannah's dropping in, you can look up your county and it will tell you what zone you're in. For my Colorado company, here is the state of Colorado VSS. This is your vendor self-service. So if you want to do business with the state of Colorado, you're going to need to create your registration here. And Hannah is going to drop that in the chat for you. And if you are from the state of Illinois, become a vendor and sell to the state government. So she's going to drop that link in there of that page, and you can go ahead and get registered. So I hope all of you are registered on your particular state. Chandra, you have a question in? Nope. Okay. So take the time today. That's going to be one of the things that I suggest you get done today. I mean, it's the last day of the week. I would say Fridays are quiet, but we don't say that out loud ever, do we? All right, now we're going to go through some local. So what is local? Well, it could be the city, it could be the county, it could be a school district. It could be your transportation. So here in the greater Houston area, we have Fort Bend ISD, which is a very large school district, along with the Houston ISD, another large school district, Port Houston, Houston Community College, Metro, and City of Houston. Now, each of them have their own system. Fort Bend and HCC use the same system for getting the certificate for registration, and that is Bonfire. Port Houston, Harris County uses Bonfire. Port Houston uses BySpeed. HISD uses Ion Wave, and City of Houston uses Ariba. So we're going to drop those links in there. Go ahead and take the time to register. City of Houston is a couple of step process. You put your information in. Once they send you an email, then you go back in and fill it out. Everyone else is pretty direct. Just fill it out right there on the page. Get your W-9 ready because you probably are going to need that to upload. All right, so we got some Dallas people that signed up today. So we're going to provide you with a link to Dallas College, City of Dallas, the County of Dallas, DART, and then Dallas Independent School District. I know that the City of Dallas uses Bonfire, DART uses Bonfire, Dallas County uses BidSync, Dallas ISD must use a web version of their own registration. San Antonio, City of San Antonio ISD, Alamo College, Bexar County, and for those of you not in Texas, that is pronounced Bear, and via transportation. So Hannah will drop all of those links in there. So who's planning on filling out at least one registration today? So I hope that we've got some people who are going to do that. Yes, here we go. Awesome. And once you get one done, it's going to go really fast. Because they all ask for the same information. Ask Angela, she'll tell you. They just ask for a lot of the same information. For Chicago and Crystal Lake, the City of Colleges of Chicago, Cook County, Crystal Lake Elementary, CTA was their transportation, Chicago Public Schools, and the City of Chicago. So Hannah, are you caught up here, or I'm just gonna keep going? All right, Brighton and Denver, 27J Schools, Adams County, Denver Public Schools, City of Denver, RTD, and Brighton. So again, and that's the City of Denver and Denver County. They use the same registration. So I've done the research for you for those that I knew were registering and what area you were in. But you know, how do you find those if you're not, if you don't know, like you weren't one of the cities or the states that I talked about today? So how do you find that? And it's simple. How do you open up your Google or your whatever search engine that you use? How do I become a vendor of the state of Florida? Type that in. It is probably going to lead you right where you need to go. And it's going to pull up that page and just dig around in there till you find that information of how you become a vendor. All right, any questions that y'all want to ask about registration before we move into the lovely world of certification? All right, so I see G Springer has their hand raised. Do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? Oh, let me tell you, okay. Now you can unmute yourself.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Uh-oh, I have some feedback. Let's see. Can you hear me without the feedback now?
I'm not hearing any feedback on my end.
Okay, no problem. Okay, two questions. Thank you. First of all, thank you for being here and doing this. This is very useful. The first question, so if you are in a state, but maybe, so I'll just use Houston, you mentioned, if you are in a state and say you live in Dallas, can you still apply for Houston, being a vendor for Houston because you are a part of the state?
Yes, you can to become a vendor for the city of Houston. It doesn't matter where your location is. You can be from Chicago and register as a vendor for the city of Houston.
Okay, perfect. That answers my second question too. And then I was going to ask if you can apply for other states as well. Is there a different form or a different registration that you would go after if you are living in a separate state?
Well,
And one,
you would need to be registered in the state as a foreign entity, which yeah, you're not foreign, but you are foreign. You're foreign from that state. But then once you have that piece of paper, you can register for any of the registrations that you want. And it's the
wonderful.
same registration. So I mean, City of Houston doesn't just purchase things from the City of Houston.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other question? That was a really good one. I love it. Okay. Um, Stanley, you can unmute yourself now.
Hi, my question is, are you familiar with vendor proof?
No. What is vendor proof?
Software for the healthcare organizations. If I want
Ah,
to get a contract with the hospitals, they use the vendor proof system.
Okay, so most hospitals or a large number of hospitals are not considered government entities.
Okay,
Some are. Obviously, here in the Houston area, UT MD Anderson would be a state agency, but Memorial Hermann or Methodist are private entities.
okay,
So you would still need to register for them, and there is certification that would help you, but that is not a government certification.
great. Thank you.
All right. All right, so now let's jump into the world of certification. This is the world I've lived in for 27 years. Look at all of our acronyms. We literally call this alphabet soup. Veteran owned, service disabled veteran owned, minority owned, women owned, what's called an ACDBE, which is airport concession disadvantaged business. DBE is a disadvantaged business. SBE is a small business. Hub is the state of Texas hub or the state of North Carolina hub. Hub zone is a federal certification based on where your office is, as well as 35% of your employees. WOSB is a federal certification for women-owned business. EDWOSB is a economically disadvantaged, and 8A, which is technically not a certification, but we consider it a certification for this purpose. And actually, Chandra, that is a very good question that she has. How will the DEI changes affect these certifications? And we're watching and trying to stay on top of that because these programs have existed since the 60s. So DEI, these certifications and these programs predate DEI. So there may be some changes, especially on the state local, that make these all small business certifications instead of based on minority and gender. But they are all small business. You cannot be certified in any of these unless you are considered a small business. Now, small business is not always that small. An engineering firm is, I think, a 5-year average of $12 million. Okay, if I exceed that, am I really gonna, be too upset that I'm no longer certified? It means I'm an established company and I've got, you know, business coming in probably outside of that certification. So let's talk a little bit about how many certifications that one can get. So I'm going to give you an example of let's say it's a company here in the Houston area. They are in construction and construction related services. The owner is an African American female who is also a service disabled veteran. She is located in a hub zone and her employees meet that hub zone qualification. So on a federal level, she could be veteran-owned certified, service disabled veteran-owned certified, SBE certified, hub zone certified, and she can probably either be WOSB certified or EDWOSB, because that is based on your NAICS code. You are one or the other, and not everyone can qualify. It just depends on what your NAICS code is. But because she's construction, we're going to say she's probably qualified for one of those. And she could probably get her 8A certification. Because her office is in Houston, she can be City of Houston MBE, City of Houston WBE, because she is her net worth is under $2.3 million. That excludes her business and her house. She could be DBE. The City of Houston has an SBE that is just for construction, so she could be SBE. She could also be federally SBE, and she could be Metro SBE. The state of Texas hub, because she lives and her business is in the state of Texas. That is, this one person could have all of those certifications. Now, does she need all of those certifications? Well, it depends. What is her target? So we always recommend to clients, pick 5 entities, determine what certification, these 5 entities are ones you really want to target. These are the ones I want to get business with this year. What certifications, if any, do they accept? Do I even need a certification to do business with them? Now, I'm going to repeat again that you can do business with any government entity, regardless if you were certified, if they buy your product and service. So then why would you get certified? Like, you have all of these certifications. You're telling me I don't have to be certified. But there are some advantages. First off, it helps that entity meet their minority, women, small, disadvantaged business goal. So why do they set goals? Well, they want their suppliers and their vendors to look like their constituents. So the state of Texas wants their suppliers and their vendors to look like their taxpayers. It's where their money comes from. Metro wants their suppliers and vendors to look like their riders. Fort Bend and Houston ISD want their suppliers and vendors to look like their students. So they want that diverse. Because the reason these programs existed from the 60s, Kennedy signed the first executive order, is because the federal government realized that they were not being, they were only doing business with large companies or non-minority and non-women-owned companies. I'm trying to be as politically as possible there. So they realized that in order to help the small businesses, to help the minority-owned and the women-owned and all other small businesses, they needed to put some programs in place so that the federal government was buying from them. There are set-aside contracts for the federal government. If you're hub zone, they're set aside. If you're 8A, they're set aside. If you're WOSB, they're set aside. And if there's not a set aside, and a set aside simply means only companies with that certification can submit for that particular opportunity. It's like the VA system, their preference is to do business with veterans. Does that make sense, right? So, and there's network opportunities. If you're 8A certified, there's a big 8A event every year. If you're, state of Texas, there are hub events all across the state of Texas that you can attend. There's support and resources. There is a small business coordinator or hub coordinator or something at every single agency to help you get in the door, to help you understand the process. And again, those informal bids, a lot of times they have to at least get one quote from a certified company if they have a small business program or an MWBE program. And there's some competitive advantage for you, especially in the subcontracting space. Those prime contractors, those who are going to hold the contract, have to meet the goals. So that certification can help you get in the door. As Julie, the other co-founder, likes to say, if you can't get in the front door, go the back door or go through a window or heck, go down the chimney. However you can get in, is you can get in, get some experience in government contracting, grow your business, and then you become the prime, and then you're reaching back and helping other small businesses with subcontracting opportunities. All right, federal. You have your certified economically disadvantaged WOSB and your SBA WOSB, your service disabled veteran, and your veteran owned and your hub zone. Now, I'm going to say something that is probably going to shock all of y'all. The federal government has made getting their certifications easy. I know, it's a little shocking, right? There is one application. You go to that website, it will ask you a series of questions. It will tell you which certification based on your answer you are eligible for, and you submit for those certifications all at one time. That has been the most exciting thing in certification world since 2011 when they rolled out the WOSB program. So now if the rest of everybody would get on that, if we just do one, everyone always says, can I just apply for one certification and get all of them? That's the only one you can do that for. You can do all of the federal at one time. All right, state of Texas. The state of Texas has a hub program. It's a historically underutilized program. It is good for doing business with the 148 state agency. I believe 8 of those are health related. So MD Anderson, UT Health and Science Center, UT Galveston. So they all, but there are 148 altogether. There's universities, there's the State Lotto Commission, there's the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. If you provide commodities, you definitely want to check out the criminal justice system in your area, because let me tell you something, they buy a lot of things. Illinois' CEI, their certification, I believe it's a small business based, and Colorado has certifications. They accept some certifications, and I think they do also have an MWBE program that they manage, or they accept other certifications. The state of Texas, everybody wants to be in the certification world, and they all do their own particular certifications. Now, I don't know about Illinois and I don't know about Colorado, but I will tell you that the state of Texas hub certification is 6 to 7 months behind. So once you submit, you will not hear from them for at least 6 months. So that has become very frustrating, because also if you go to renew and you don't renew, you have to renew 6 months out, or they don't get your renewal done, and then you could lose a contract. So be very aware of that. There are some ways around that for the state of Texas, but there is a price for that. So you have to determine whether you want to go through the state and get it for free, or go through one of either the Minority Council or the Women Business Council and pay their membership fee, and they'll process your hub. So that's up to you, but it is a way around that if you need it sooner rather than later. So local, City of Houston and Houston First, those are both handled directly through the City of Houston. And again, the City of Houston does MBE, WBE, SBE, DBE, and they handle the Houston First. Now, their SBE is not good for any other SBE program. It is a City of Houston. If you want to do business with TxDOT, then you're going to need to have City of Houston process your DBE if you live in the Houston area. If you can go to the TxDOT website and you can determine which agency processes your certification. If you live out in a rural area, TxDOT will do that. City of Houston is 9 to 12 months behind. And there is no way around in any of that. So if you want to do TxDOT and you live in the City of Houston, submit your application now, and hopefully in 10 months they'll contact you. That's just how far they're behind, and it does not look like that is going to improve anytime soon. Metro is the fastest and easy certification you can get in the Houston area. It is a small business certification. It is not gender or ethnicity based. It is based on the size of the company and the personal net worth of the owner, minus their business and their home, under 2.3 million, I think. Other areas, Hannah's going to drop these links. We've got the certification for Denver, City of San Antonio, and the City of Chicago. City of Denver, I believe, is MWSBE, and Chicago is also MWSBE. San Antonio, City of San Antonio accepts the State of Texas Hub certification, as well as the South Central Texas Regional Association certification. All right, does anyone have any questions on certification?
I have another question. You mentioned TxDOT or
TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation.
Wonderful. Okay. And then you also mentioned the prison or the authority system. Is there a link for that, or is there a just your state and then authority.org, or?
You can just, because the criminal justice system is a state facility, you can find their opportunity. When you register for your state, it will tell you where to find bids, and all of the state bids would be registered there. Like with state of Texas, it would be under Texas Smart Buy.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Adrian, you can unmute yourself now. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the phone just dropped and it muted itself. I don't need anything.
Okay, fair enough. Been there, done that. All right. So now, because y'all are portal members, I want to show you some things in the portal that will be useful in this certification world. So our portal was designed by Julie and I during COVID we kind of started that thought process of what we wanted in a one-stop shop. So it's designed to gain time back, save you money, and avoid some of those headaches that go with this. We throw out acronyms like we throw out Tic Tacs. And if any of you've been to any events that we're at, we give out Tic Tacs like they're, going out of style. So most of the time you're doing this type of work after your business closes for the day, right? So, we're doing our accounting at 2 a.m. in the morning. Not that I've ever done that. Or you're working on a proposal and you just need some quick answers. You just need, show me how to do this. Show me what this looks like. Is there a template for that? We put all of that in our portal for you so that when you are in the middle of the night trying to work on this, you can easily find things. So when you log in, it's going to have updated information, anything we've updated. So here This particular is, what are some of the common certification questions? I'm getting ready to do my certification. What are some things that I need to know? So your general information, financial information, you're going to have to upload your taxes. You're going to have to upload your finances, your personal information, a resume, a birth certificate. It's something to, or your passport, something to show your race and gender, legal documents, all of your legal documents. And if you are a LLC, you must have your member regulations or member agreement. And any management, any long-term contracts that you have, at least things like that. You're going to have all of that. So then you can just find this and it breaks it down. It's a video that actually breaks it all down for you. And then there's also one on how to maximize your certification. When people get their certification and they hang it on their wall. So I used to go out and do site visits. So that was my favorite part of the work when I was working back with the Women's Business Enterprise Alliance. I would show up in people's office and they would have their certification in a nice frame hanging in their office. I said, hey, have you gotten any business with that? And they're like, no. I'm like, you haven't been to any events. You don't attend anything. You're not networking. I don't see you except when I come out and do a site visit every 3 years. I haven't seen you in 3 years. It's like getting a fishing license and hanging it on the wall and then going, I don't know if I'm going to renew it. I didn't catch any fish. Well, you got to go fishing. You got to go fishing. So you can search anything on the portal and you're going to come up with maybe a frequently asked question, some videos. There are over 100 videos, glossary terms, listings, templates, tools, services, resources. We've taken all of our experience for years and created a resource for you, a way to find information. We took it out of our head and put it online and we update it. So if there's questions that we get at a seminar that we're doing, like I had questions during my Lift Fund event, well, then we'll take those and we'll put them in the frequently asked questions. If someone's asking, someone else wants to know. Our glossary, we have almost every letter. We are looking for glossary terms for K and X. There's just not a lot, is there? But you just put into search and it will come up with an answer, a definition that you can use. Because when you're doing and putting together your proposal, if you don't understand what they're asking for, how are you going to supply it? Or if you're working on your certification and you don't understand what they're asking for, how do you go out and find it? So when you click on the definition, if there's a link or something that's going to give you that, it'll open up that link. Search again for certification, and it's going to give you events on certification. It's going to give you blog posts on certification. It's going to give you certification videos. And so all of that, you just type in certification. Certifying agencies. So, and it's not just Houston. Here's the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. You click Florida Department of Management Services. Click on that. You open it up. Click on company site. It's going to take you right to the website. And then you can go, there's certification overview, certification benefits. What are some of the pre-certification workshops that you can attend? So all of that is right there for you. Now, we have, because we handle people's registrations and certifications. That is a service that we provide. Well, how do we keep track of everything? Because if you're doing multiple registrations, you don't want to go pull up either pull up the information or have to go ask the owner for it again. So once we have it, it goes in what we call the victory book. Now, our victory book has, our NAICS codes or NIGP codes, descriptions of what we do that's going to go into the certification or the registration. All of that is right there. When we launch a client, we create their victory book. Now, the victory book, a blank victory book, is available online. There's a cost involved because we've spent a lot of time and effort putting in everything that you could possibly need so that it is easy for you to track, not only on registrations, not only on certifications, but when you are submitting proposals. It's just when I'm doing a proposal for a client, the first thing I do is pull up their victory book and have it on one window. Because I don't have to go back and find out what their address is or their phone number. I don't, I just be able to pull everything up very nicely. Our frequently asked questions, you can go in and ask a question, get an answer. All right, now we are to the point where y'all can ask me any question. So if you want to book time with Julie and I, scan this QR code. If it is regarding certification or registration, well, if it's regarding certification, please book me. Registration, it could be either one of us. If it is both, again, book me. Because again, the certification has been my world for 27 years. So I'll have an answer a little bit faster. But what we want now is you to play Stump Susan. So ask a question in the Q&A, and it can be certification, registration related, or government contracting in general. And I will do my best to answer. And if I can't, I will find an answer and get back with you. All right, any questions? Oh, come on now. We have no questions? Nothing about government contracting you need to ask? All right, if we have no questions, we have no hand raised, we have no anything in the chat. Oh, here we go. I need to renew my SAM cage code. Is that something you can help with? Yes, I am actually have become in the last 2 years a SAM guru. Sam and I are very good friends. I can help you with that. DSBS, how do I load my capability statement? Chandra, let's you and I get on a call, and I'm going to walk you through those steps so that we can get that. It is a lengthy process, but that is a new feature, and we're still working through some of their kinks. SBA took over the DSBS last year, so we're still working through some of that, but I'll be more than happy to walk you through that. And for those who don't know what the DSBS is, that is the dynamic small business search. And that is, if you are registered in SAM and you have clicked that you are a small business, or it has come up that you're a small business because of your NAICS code and your size, you are automatically in DSBS, but you have to physically go in and update and clean up your information and have additional stuff. And Stanley, I should have you drop your email address in the chat, and I will look up your NAICS codes. I may have to ask you a few questions so that we can get that narrowed down. All right. So I hope everyone enjoyed this session. We will be doing one on capability statements. Thank you, Stanley. We'll be doing one on capability statements next month. I believe it's the last Friday of the month. And we'd love to have you there. We're going to show you some samples of capability statements. We're going to show you a template that you can do it yourself. And we're going to show you some samples of ones that we've done, just so that you get an idea of what they can look like. But keep in mind, simple is perfectly fine. You just need to have the information that government entities are asking for. Oscar, you have a question. You can unmute yourself now.
Yes. How are you? I
I'm
was,
good.
I have a lot of questions. I went to the pancakes with the primes, and
Oh, awesome.
I was there, gathered a lot of information. A lot of my certifications right now I need renewal on. I am currently working to do work on the hospital there in Houston. So I'm working with one prime, but I need to work on my certifications because they're past. Um, so I need to renew that one, and I need to renew this SAMS cage code. So
Okay.
how can I book time to maybe have a conversation with the things that I need to work on?
Okay, hold on. Hannah, oh, here it is. Just scan that QR code and it's going to take you to our booking, and just book an appointment with me.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, and keep in mind that if you've let your certifications expire longer than 90 days, you will be starting over as a new applicant.
So right now, no, I'm still within the time, but I do need to answer some questions that they're asking me.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
All right. This ends our presentation for today. I do hope that I see you back next month, or we have, whew, Hannah, where's all of our events?
Let me pull up the slide number, Susan.
I got it.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. Here's some upcoming events that we have going on. We do the Hub Blueprint the last Wednesday of the month. That is an in-person event, and that is put on by Lift Fund. And if you are in the Houston area and you attend this, then you are eligible for 1 hour of free coaching with me. You have to attend, but it is, we walk you through the State of Texas Hub application and answer your questions on the questions that they ask. And then we talk about other certifications and registrations. We do our members only webinar on the 28th. And again on March 28th, and we will do the Hub Blueprint in the end of March as well. So these are great opportunities for you to get some additional information. And again, the Lift Fund, the Hub Blueprint does come with some really like some one-on-one coaching, 1 hour of one-on-one coaching that Lift Fund pays for. Hannah is going to drop in the registration. You can always find upcoming events on our event page. And Hannah, if you could drop that in as well. We list not only our events, but we list events from Metro, Port Houston, City of Houston. We try and capture as many of them as we can and post on theirs. And if you are in the Dallas area, the Hub Blueprint is also offered in Dallas. I am not the speaker, but they do have it. And you will get 1 hour of coaching with that subject matter expert. All right, everyone, Have a great day. I'm going to stay on for just a few minutes longer to make sure that we've got everybody's question answered. Thank you.